Our world continues to change and push us in ways we have not been challenged before. On this show, we talk about these challenges, how to be aware of them, face them, and overcome them in your life. This is David Waldas, creator of the Aligned Living System.
And I'm Nick Musica, Aligned Living Coach. Welcome to the Aligned Living System podcast.
Welcome to the Aligned Living System podcast. This is David Waldas here with Nick Musica. Our topic today is the journey from training grounds to proving grounds to embodiment. And it's not a journey everyone takes. Some people skip the training grounds and just keep living in the proving grounds, which usually doesn't go so well. And some people spend their whole life in the training grounds, and some people spend their whole life in the proving grounds and don't get to the embodiment. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about that journey today. And again, we often talk about personal. I don't know. Hopefully, if you're watching the video, you can see Nick laughing here.
Sounds so painful.
It's so fun, man. It's so fun. I got you. That's not so fun. That's just freaking. And so, as we often look at our personal development and talk about it on here, we talk about it in categories too, areas of our life. And some areas of our life we're fully in embodiment. Some areas of our life we're just in training grounds, and we just keep trying to learn, and we avoid the proving grounds. In other areas where we're just always in the proving grounds, we're just on the battlefield, and we don't ever trust ourselves enough to move into embodiment, or we push ourselves too hard, didn't have the training grounds enough that the proving grounds just overwhelmed us. And so, welcome, Nick. Interesting topic today. This is a good one.
Yeah, I was just reflecting on those steps in the process, and just imagining living there like forever. Like, oh my God,
in
this
the
is terrible.
Grounds, you're just on the battlefield, just like, God, I should have spent a little more time in the training grounds. Yeah,
get washed back. I'll stay here forever. No. And then, terrible. It's a very real thing.
If we're not ready for the proving grounds, we never reach embodiment because we're always overwhelmed. We're always exhausted. We're always not trusting ourselves. We're always not sure how it's going to go because we don't have the skill set. And so many of us also just get stuck in the training grounds. We just keep trying to be ready to go, and then we don't go, and we don't put ourselves out there. And we're like, oh, maybe just one more personal development course or one more, whatever, and then I'll be ready. And it really is. I mean, like without I think sometimes I take it for granted having the internal guidance, like that intuitive knowing. Like people that are trying to make this from a logical, that's got to be a hard decision, right? Because it's not like it's never really logical. You never really feel prepared. You're like, okay, I'm here. I feel this feeling I need to step forward, and it doesn't mean I'm ready. I just know that I'm ready. I don't know it intellectually. I just know that I need to do it. And also there's times when I feel like it's not time to step forward yet. Like there is some more training I need to do. There is some more work I need to do. And then, sometimes it's go into the proving grounds and then come back and reassess and train some more. And that is how we reach embodiment, which is really, you might call it mastery. I think people sometimes get confused by mastery, meaning thinking that it means like, oh, you're a master and you don't have more work to do and you have it all figured out. But mastery is, to me, I think of it as embodiment. Like, I mean, we take the middleman out. We're not keeping ourselves out of the experience. We are the experience. And that piece, I can remember when I think about this a lot in sports. Like there was times when I'm like, I really just want to be like at a mastery level with this, or, those times I wouldn't describe it that way. And then just trying to be like, well, what would that feel like? What would that, and kind of watching myself do it and go, oh, I think this is kind of it. And laughing at it now as I look back on it, like if I was observing myself, I wasn't there. And that piece of like, we have to be in flow. We have to be in the embodiment means the middleman's gone. The middle woman's gone. We are it. We are the experience of it. And we're not going, I think this is what I need to do, like think about whatever sport, soccer was my main sport. So, if I saw the ball coming, I wouldn't go, all right, I think here's what I'm going to do. Like it was like the ball would come in and there would just be an execution of it and go, oh, that was, that worked out well or didn't work out well. But there wasn't a strategizing in the moment. There's not time for that. That's one of the things I love about sports like that, where it's just like everything becomes instinctual. Like, trust your training. They say, like when you're in that,
Yes.
you need to trust your training and let it come through. You're not trust your training is like, that's right. We worked on this. And then the strategy was like,
Yeah.
that's not trusting your training. That's going back into your training.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as you're talking, I'm just reflecting on. I mean, I was never a sports ball guy. I was never a team sports person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so but surfing has been my bag. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
been more than once where like you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, but the wave's
Mm-hmm.
always shifting. You're riding a moving wall of water, right? And a lot of things can happen.
Yeah.
Um, and the portion of trust your training, I never went to surfing school, but training is the experience that you have, the lessons you've learned
Mm-hmm.
along the way,
Yep.
where you got pinned down to the bottom of the ocean and you thought, well, that was a
Yeah.
bad move.
Yeah. Trust your training of how long you can hold your breath.
That was terrible. Let's not do that one again. And then you do other things and you go, man, this is not gonna. I don't know how this is gonna work out, but I'm gonna go for it. And you go, oh my goodness, like what that just worked out way better than I thought it ever would. Couldn't even imagine
Yeah.
the outcome.
Yeah. Can you remember the time, like when you I'm sure when you got held down at first, it was like, okay, just relax, cover my head, like hold my breath, like a thought process of like almost like a checklist for yourself versus like when you just found yourself do it and there wasn't like telling yourself to do it and you were doing it. You know what I'm asking?
Yeah, I remember. It was a big hurricane in New Jersey, and I remember pulling up to the beach
Mm-hmm.
and having the same board that I used all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a gentleman who's probably 10 years older than me looked at me and said, that board's too small today.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I just nodded and I
Yeah.
ran towards
Thanks,
the
buddy.
beach. Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. You worry about you. Okay. You do you.
And I just ran into the water. Right. And I got out and it was, I mean, I could probably ride that board or equivalent in that surf today, but at the time he was right for the surfer who I was then with that board in those conditions. Yeah. And the first wave I take off on, I'm like, it's a big chunky wave, and I'm dropping down the face, and then I kept going through the water. I just dug the nose and I just went through the water, and I'm just like, oh shit! And now the wave comes tumbling down and pushes me down.
Pins you.
And I'm spun around so much. And I remember hearing about, you don't know which way is up. And I'm like, that sounds ridiculous. And now I'm in a situation where I don't know which way is up.
Yeah.
Because you're being shifted around in so many different ways. You don't have a sense of gravity or float.
Sure.
You just
Yeah.
don't have it.
And yep.
And so I was like, one potato, two potato in my brain,
Yeah.
And I'm like, where is my leash? I hope it didn't break the cord that attaches you to the board. I'm like, I really hope that didn't break. And I found my foot and I started to climb up the leash.
Yeah.
But it was if you don't get your shit under control, like it's going to get worse. There's a choice.
And you're going to want to breathe. Yeah. And you're going to move up, use the oxygen you have fast. And the force of the wave it feels just as clear as the force of gravity. So you wouldn't know which way is up, right?
You literally do not. And so in terms of a training ground, that was a very formidable training ground.
Yeah.
And then in being situations later where it could have been better or worse, it doesn't really matter. But what matters is
know because your reference point's completely different now.
True. Yeah. So thank you for that. And so I remember just being like, just relax and float, no matter how bad it feels, no matter if you feel the
It's the
leash,
right answer.
you feel the board going on shore. None of this matters. What matters is just how you conserve your energy right now.
Yep.
And when you feel the upward trajectory, then and I could have read all that in a book.
Yeah.
But without that initial training ground of like, here you go, buddy. Like, like you're gonna have to figure some shit out like right now on the fly.
Yeah.
That was
my favorite
formidable.
Mike Tyson quote that I bring up a lot of everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face, right? And then then you learn how to take a punch and you're like, oh, actually that doesn't destroy me. Well, Mike Tyson does it.
That's right. And my plan, and I thought it was working, was I dropped down perfectly into this wave until I kept on going straight down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah. And then what does it look like that feeling of just not thinking to be the embodiment of, and the difference between surfing when you're going, okay, this okay, my foot goes here, my lean, oh, I think I'm too far, like just feeling it. And there's no middleman. The middleman
No
has to
middleman.
disappear for there to be any level. And I think that's a really clear piece for us of like, okay, training, proving
Yeah.
grounds. When do the proving grounds, when we disappear, when we stop,
Yeah.
being in our minds during that. And I think that like when I think about, like speaking or being in front of people or sharing or, particularly coaching, right? And it's that way for me with the podcast. Like I didn't used to realize that was an option, and I didn't realize that was a goal. And I think that can be one of the really big values for listeners today is the idea of the goal of this is to actually like lose track of myself. And if we do that too early and we don't have the training, we're just acting unconsciously and stupidly, right? And it doesn't work well. And so like knowing the right time for mastery, and you can see people where it's often arrogance, I got this. And then they go do it, like you have obviously like you're not even in your head because you don't even know what to tell yourself. And so we need to have that step where we're like, okay, let me work through this. And that process for us, recognizing that is the goal. And I think so often people don't realize that. And I know I didn't. Like I thought that the goal was to get really good at figuring stuff out and to just be able to do it quickly, as opposed to, okay, great, now let's forget all of that and be it. And now it's all baked in. Now it's all just part of who we are and part of what we do. And I don't know the difference. And people are you channeling? I'm like, I don't know. I usually have a cadence when I'm channeling, but I don't know the difference now. Like I just go there and I kind of feel like I'm channeling all the time. Whereas before I'd be like, I'm dropping in the channel before like, oh, I'm in my brain, I'm thinking. Now it's just kind of it's all integrated.
Yeah. No, integrated is a great word. Yeah. 100%. It just becomes part of who you are. And then you just move through whatever you're doing with all the parts at play and whatever one has to stand forward.
Yeah.
To be the lead at any point in time, then it can do that.
Yeah.
And you have options to do that too. Like there's different ways you can express yourself in any situation. And and instead of weighing the pros and cons of each and every one in the moment.
Yeah.
Right?
And you see it almost like oh, you have like a supercomputer. You're like running through so fast the scenario. It's like, no, you're not. Like you're just doing it. Like it's just so innate. Like there is your brain can't really process that fast. It's already done before you did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, I mean, when you look at reflexes, you look at the way people respond to things, like it's already done before you did it.
Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about coaching, because that piece too, it's interesting for me. I came as a background as a teacher, and teacher, we had a specific curriculum. We had went through a whole master's degree on how to teach. Right. And so there's all this pedagogy, like the idea of how you do it. And then I started doing readings, and then I started receiving information, and I was like, oh, one-to-ones, I could do that. But I love working the one-to-ones. But then when I got to group situations, I would go back into teaching mode. I'd go back into my brain. I'd go back into, here's the information we're delivering. And I'm like, God, it's just it's not as impactful. It just doesn't feel as good. And that was kind of my training grounds and my proving grounds. And then at a certain point, I was like, oh, I can actually do this just like one-to-ones. I don't have to think about what I'm going to say. I don't have to process what I'm going to say. Like it just comes through. And I had to, trust enough to make that leap of not thinking about what's coming out of my mouth before I say it, because that doesn't work well if you haven't gone through the training grounds and haven't gone through the proving grounds, and you're not able to hold yourself in a higher consciousness. If we do that before we're ready, we just start projecting. We start, like there's this mixture of all of our own psychology that comes through in it. And of course there's like we're human. There's going to be some level of that. But the idea of like just being in that higher state of consciousness where our perspective is completely different, and we have all these strategies and tools and stuff that are all baked in, and this channeling and this knowing, and anybody that's at mastery level is channeling. Like I can see it. Like I look at them and I can, it's like I can see the energy moving through them. They are channeling, and that's what happens when we get out of our own way. We're all channels. We just need to trust ourselves and have done the training grounds and the proving grounds in order to get there. But that's our goal. And if we don't even know that's our goal, like Well, of course we're not going to get there. We're going to just keep trying to get better at figuring it out inside of our heads and doing it faster and more effectively.
Culturally speaking, is what we're told to do. It's what we're taught to do.
Yeah, because we don't acknowledge that there's another level of it other than a phenom or, like whatever. We go like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, what if we actually all realize that we can move to that level? We just don't, because that to get there is jumping off of a cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and this is why like Eastern medicine, acupuncture and qis and all the language around traditional Chinese medicine, like it sounds so foreign.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a different way of looking at things. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the blending of the two, and that integration when it happens is where you get the biggest bang for your buck, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I'm just thinking back to like, I wonder what that would have been like if I realized that was my goal, not becoming better at figuring it out, but actually disappearing. Like, and it's kind of fun because I mean, that's how I coach now. Is I help people learn how to disappear. I help people learn how to be so present that there is no middleman.
Yeah, important distinction. Yeah, which is exactly what that is. It's the 100% full presence in the space that we create together.
Yeah.
Energetic. I mean, there's a couple different phrases that people use to describe it. Relationship we have right now in this moment in this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fantastic. Wow, that feels really complete. It's funny how we've been doing some shorter ones, but I feel like to talk about it more almost dilutes it, unless unless there's any stories you wanted to share, because it really is this like letting that idea land and start to look at the areas of our life. Is there any area of your life where you've been able to have gone through, maybe there's a natural talent which helps us go through it faster and a natural aptitude for it. Or aptitude for it, but a sense of, wow, I actually know that feeling. And sometimes maybe it's only for a second. Maybe it's with art, maybe it's with writing. And when people talk about automatic writing, they talk about all these things, but that is the experience. And we can start to, aligned living is about taking that and bringing it to all the areas of our life.
Yeah.
And like, I can't even tell you how many times now after I have a conversation or go through something, I'm like, that was really interesting. Almost like I'm my rational mind, is finding out after the fact. And it sounds probably really weird to people. Like I'll say something like, oh, that's really interesting. Like you just said it. No, like, because I didn't have precognition of what was coming through. And so I'm another person in the conversation as well.
Yeah. I mean, the way that I've been articulating that to myself is in the coaching sessions is I feel like a witness in it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's
and I know that I'm a participant in it, but my perspective of me in it is I'm witnessing these two people. I just happen to be one of these people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like when you're in that real time mode, when it's just coming through you, 100%. Like I never know what I'm going to say before I say it. And that's kind of become all areas of life. And what I've found is the moment I try to come up with a plan, and that's one of the, it's an interesting thing about teaching particular concepts. Like I'll have to just go, okay, here's the concept. Now let me just drop into the container and talk about it rather than go, okay, here's the 7 points I wanted to hit on this. They'll come through, and I mean, it's interesting when we were talking about doing readings a few episodes ago, same thing. I was like, don't, you do the same thing when you do your animal readings, right? Like, I don't want to see your questions ahead of time. I'm going to answer your questions, but I don't want to know what your questions are. And at the end, if for some reason you feel like I haven't answered your questions, then you can ask them. Yeah. But that doesn't happen because in that state of flow, in that state of knowing, in that state of channel, like the questions are answered and it has so much more meaning. But if somebody asks me a question and if I get stuck in the question, now my brain's involved, like my middleman's involved versus and if somebody asks me a question, I have to not think about the question. I have to let go of the question and go into the answer. It's
which is one part is very, very difficult. And the reality is it is so simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. I remember the report cards from when I was little, and my teachers were trying to teach me to do basic math and to read. And they said, it's very confusing because David doesn't know the alphabet or the individual letters, but he can read, and he can't count, but he can add and subtract. I'm like, so I don't understand the question, but I have the answer. And it was just like, there's something wrong with this kid. Like he keeps answering the questions, but he doesn't know how he got the answer, and he doesn't know the basic fundamentals you need in order to answer it. And then they would try to teach me the fundamentals, and I just couldn't get them, but I could read. And I'm like, I don't know what letter that is. I don't know. I remember trying to do the alphabet, like even the A, B, C, I could never get it right. I'm like, I don't know. I get around L, M, N, O, P. They'd get kind of moved around for me with the dyslexia. And I'm like, but I can read you something. And I couldn't even tell you the order of the letters, but I can tell you what the word is.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, knowing you for more than a minute, that makes total sense.
Yeah, but it's the same thing we're talking about, right? And then to go back and learn, it's the same thing with all the downloads for Aligned Living were really fascinating, like that same thing where, it was just like, oh, we do this and it works. And then I got challenged by my publishing agent to write it from a scientific perspective. So then I had to go and look up heart math and all these different, Greg Braden, like all the different scientific experiments that have been done that actually back what it is that. And then as I started to work, my clients are everywhere from atheists to, very religious. And then as I was working with more religious clients, I was getting more and more information like, oh yeah, that's what the Bible says. I'm like, okay, great. And it's like, this is like, it would match up. And then I started getting really interested in this, and I started researching more and learning more about biblical stories. And then I'm like, oh, we're all talking about, like, it all matches up. And so, when we are in the knowing, we can be there. And then everything else around it, all the connective tissue, of course it matches up. We don't go, oh, that's surprising. Well, if it's real, of course it's going to match up if it's authentic.
Yeah.
Super interesting. So if you're trying to get really good at your strategies and figuring things out, recognize that there's another level of jumping off the cliff when you're ready. Of what is mastery? It's you disappear. You stop being present and you embody it. And there is no precognition of what you're about to say or do or act. And it forces it in things like sports when there just isn't time. And then people say you're operating on instinct. Yeah, I mean, you can call it that. But also you have to be in that state of consciousness for it to work. Other than your instincts are very different. If you're in this place of self-loathing or angry at the world, and that's the consciousness you're in, and you're trusting your instincts, that's going to create something very different than being in this high vibrational, aligned, clear, highest level of self, and the instincts that come from that place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, great conversation, man.
Yeah. This was a fun one.
Yeah. I'd love to hear what people reflect on this too. I know we don't hear a lot from our listeners. I'd love to hear what people respond to in that, and how that fits into their life. That would be really cool to get some reflections from folks.
Agreed.
So if you're listening and you're thinking, yeah, reach out for sure. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you all next week. We hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast. And if you did, please subscribe so you can catch the next episode. If you want to learn more about the Aligned Living System and how it could support you in your life, check out davidwaldas.com.